Greetings and salutations, dear scorekeepers. It is time for another episode of your favorite podcast, The Score. I was like, what is this? This is a podcast. And it's called The Score. As always, I am your host, Rocky Jones, and I'm here with my two brilliant, amazing co hosts. Of course, we have the lovely, the magnificent, the moisturized Paige Reynolds. Hello, Paige Reynolds. How are you?
I am all right. All things
Yeah.
considered, doing my best to stay moisturized, stay somewhat sane. I'm glad to be here with y'all.
As am I. This is as we were discussing before we started recording. This is a low pressure space in a high pressure world.
Thank God.
I'm so thankful for that. But of course, who else do we have in the company of RuPaul, the amazing, magnificent, and equally moisturized Dr. Lee Bynum? Hello, Dr. Lee Bynum. How are you?
Hello, Mozambique.
Ooh, shout out Maputo.
Yes.
Yes. So what's going on with you? What's new in the world of
Oh,
Dr. Bynum?
God. Oh. So many things have been just gross recently,
Hmm.
but just yesterday, I did some volunteer work. My
Hmm.
organization, Maestro Music, check us out at www.maestromusic.org, um, had a table where we were peddling our wares at the Broadway flea market yesterday, where Broadway shows and service organizations and equity and MAC Cosmetics and all those kinds of lovely people set up tables in the theater district and sell Broadway merch, sign things and t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats. It was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
At first I was like, this is my day off. And the thing that I most need to do in the world is be up under the bed.
Yes.
However, going out into the world and dealing with people, um, is always a terrifying thing in New York City, but it's often a joyous thing because people here are so funny. And I met so many very funny people yesterday. And sometimes they were funny because like it seemed like their whole mission in life was like to collect every single thing that ever existed about Audra McDonald and Gypsy, which there are a lot of that particular nerd running around the city. But it was just kind of fun to talk to people who get every single random musical theater reference I make and were made really, really happy by seeing, a 60-year-old cast album that may or may not have been played by Barbara Cook at one point. Stuff like that is fun to me. So I had a really nice time, and all of the money goes directly to Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. And I think that is a very, very worthy thing to support, given what your friend is doing in Washington, D.C., the
Mm.
city where both of y'all lived. It's just awful.
Mm.
Mm.
Whose friend?
Not my friend. I don't know her. I don't know her. I don't
Well, for
know.
once, I'm glad that he just literally wrote us out of existence because I wouldn't want to have to exist through this. This is nonsense, like a special kind of nonsense.
I mean, I I know that it's only been 2 weeks since we last recorded an episode, but it feels like 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I can't keep
this,
up at this point.
it's
I mean,
crazy.
do you want to?
No, no.
No, no.
No, I removed myself entirely from the narrative this past weekend, and I picked up a new skill, which I'm very excited about. My best or my husband's best friend, she's very crafty, and we were over at her house maybe a month or two ago, and we were like, "Oh, that's cute!" Like this little glass art piece she had on the wall. And she was like, "Oh, actually, I made that." And we were like,
Hmm.
"Oh, that's cool." And she was like, "Yeah, actually, it's a class that I take. Um, if you all want to come, you should come with me." And we sort of just were like, "Sure, why not?" So it was on Saturday afternoon, and I learned how to cut glass
Oh,
and
Ah.
shape
cool.
it into like a little plate. And so my inspiration was Mondrian. So I sort of,
Oh.
yeah, did like, the squares with the colors and whatnot. And it was just like, it was so pleasant, like while the chaos is happening and eclipses are eclipsing and we're banning Tylenol now, I guess, and I don't know,
Oh,
like
Jesus.
pyrotechnic funerals for racists and I,
Honey,
all of
honey,
this insanity. It was so nice to be with friends
at the
in a
glory hole.
classroom just making art and listening to with this sort of hippie-ish teacher just playing Fleetwood Mac for 2 hours. It was just like, okay, like we're back to equilibrium.
Beautiful.
It was a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I also learned a new art skill too.
Mm.
Like, look at us both out here just acting like these people don't exist and they're not throwing really weird state funerals for random podcast bros. But, while I was acting like that's not happening, I learned indigo dyeing using
I
the
saw your
fresh.
Oh.
story. Yes.
Yeah, we use like the fresh indigo leaf. I told a friend a while ago that I wanted to learn this, and they just happened upon a class one day and was like, "Hey, this is the thing you've been wanting to learn." Like I feel like I spoke it into existence. Um, so it was just beautiful because we got to pick the indigo fresh ourselves, and then indigo dye is like really unique in that you don't need a whole lot of you don't need other chemicals for it to um like really dye a fabric. So we just got to crush up the plant ourselves and uh, dye something. And I brought a shirt, like a white cotton collared shirt, um, which I did a lot to give myself that whole thing to to dye. But I told them I was like, I don't know how to do small projects. I'm always like, go big or go home. If you tell me I get to dye something myself, yeah, I'm gonna do a whole shirt.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was the same thing. My little Mondrian piece was quite the undertaking. I was definitely the last one done.
big Sagittarian energy.
Yes.
Big Sagittarian. I love it. But yeah, it was
Jupiterian
very
realness.
relaxing.
Yeah.
Right, right. I was also the last one done.
Oh, that's so fun though. Ooh, maybe
Yeah.
I want to learn indigo dyeing. That sounds like fun.
It's an
You really
important part of
should.
our history. You
It
should learn.
is.
Exactly. That was the other beautiful part of it. It was just to like reclaim a part of our history that, is sacred and then was exploited and we get to, make it ours again. I felt very, very happy reconnecting with it. And again, it's pretty easy. So I'm sure I could teach you, Rocky, if you know
No,
anybody who grows some indigo. Uh
I will get Dennis right on that.
Yes. I definitely plan to grow it next year and just have it to use
Maybe
myself.
put some indigo in the yard.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, I'm
Exactly.
assuming it's Minnesota hardy.
It must be. They
Ooh.
were growing it in that place. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if every variety is. We used a type of Japanese indigo plant specifically. Um and it seemed to be doing really well.
Hmm.
And was a lot of the plants were flowering. They grow like a really pretty, like magenta colored
Ooh.
flower.
Hmm.
So yeah, they also look nice.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe this new era is just picking up new art skills.
I'm not mad at that.
Hither and yon.
Hmm.
I love it. Yeah.
That
Get
sounds
your
really
crafting on.
fun. Yes. And you know what? My mom, when I was a kid, she used to like look up sort of like free adult education sort of art classes, and we would just go and take them. So you know, like the oil, I don't know what you call it, but you know when you put like the colored oil in the water and it makes sort of like swirl patterns, and you put the paper,
Hmm.
like what is that called?
I have no idea.
When we did that once, I remember we would take a bunch of cooking classes. I think it was just like, you know, like free entertain your child
Yeah.
type things, but it was so fun. And it's like maybe I just need to dive into the learning annex
Hmm.
because it was just
Hmm.
it was such a welcome diversion, and like not having to sit here and thinking about the end of the world and like where am I going to go and like why am I being brought into these situations that literally as a black queer person I have no business being in.
Not my business
It's
at
not my
all.
business like at all.
I've been seeing some people say, like, I wish that, especially for these right wing, like evangelical Christian extremists, just like, I wish the rapture would happen. Tell y'all daddy to come and get y'all.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, this is going to
Hmm.
be
Tell tell him to come and pick y'all up right now.
right now. Right now. You know, it is the 23rd when this will be released. And if y'all have in fact gone up to glory, Godspeed.
Mhm.
Godspeed.
The
Bon
rest of us got it from
voyage.
here.
Hmm.
Thank you
Yep.
so much. Thank you so you were right.
Ah!
Congratulations. Congratulations. You were right about everything. So sorry.
You
I'm
got
so
me.
you got me. You got me. I'm so glad it all worked out for you. All that screaming and hollering y'all did. It was all worth it. It was all worth it.
So glad to see this pay off.
Oh my
Great for
God.
you.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. So, you know what? Okay. I'll let me get a divorce and find a nice young lady to and marry. We're all cis now. Um like I don't even know what to say. It's all it's so uh, I'm just speechless. I'm speechless. And I didn't, you know, I still, for whatever reason, am still on Twitter. I'm still one of the last holdouts.
Ooh.
But to make my experience a little more pleasant, I have blocked all the names of all the big right-wing people and Fox News and Donald Trump. And I still get coverage of the like that lady's husband died, and she came out on stage to fireworks to speak at his funeral.
I mean, I wouldn't know.
It was
Um,
great. It was insane. It looked like Las Vegas.
Oh
Like
my God.
I'm more confused by the fact that they are members of the Congressional Black Caucus that,
Hmm.
voted last week, can't find their way to even have a conversation about reparations, but somehow this was why they are under the delusion that people sent them to Congress.
That this man was a civil rights leader.
And I'm not like talking about Byron Donalds. Like I'm
No.
talking about, people who we would probably associate with doing their due diligence to hear the kinds of commentary around the Black community, Black women, Black fathers, and then still feel like they wanted to name, like take a moment to name an honor for this person rather than thinking about what it is that their constituents might feel like represents their interests. I'm having a really hard time with that.
Hmm.
But again, I don't exist. So maybe it doesn't matter what I think.
I mean, that's all I got.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just a sad, sorry state of affairs. Did you hear about this bill that was introduced in Oklahoma that every school in Oklahoma will lose funding from the state unless they erect a plaza dedicated to this person with a statue?
What?
Yes.
Excuse me?
What?
Two Oklahoma state senators introduced a bill and like a plaque honoring him as a civil rights leader.
I
See, this is one of those areas where people are so inconsistent because I thought the part of why folks get all up in arms is because they think government is playing with their money and that money is going towards stuff that it don't need to go to and individuals that don't need to go to and waste and illegal aliens and da 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 and non-binary people, and that's where our money is going. But you want to play right in my face about now using those dollars to build a plaza at every school dedicated to a podcast, bro. It's
Random fact. Oklahoma is ranked 50th in the
Yes,
nation in education.
precisely.
So,
well, okay.
and
There we
in
go.
Oklahoma, where they also said everybody was supposed to be teaching from those Trump Bibles, is that
Mm-hmm.
also Oklahoma?
Mm-hmm.
They should have stayed a musical. This statehood is not doing anything for them. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, I mean, the good thing is that even if it passes, it probably won't happen because they're all going to be gone after today.
You're right.
So who's going to build it?
Going up yonder.
Tylenol for everyone.
It's- I- really?
Hmm.
I didn't. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like more than any other time during the last 7-ish, 8-ish months of this nonsense. I feel like these past 2 weeks have been sort of I've been the most speechless. I think I've been just watching, not surprised in any way, but just sort of taken aback at sort of the particular stupidity and just nonsense of it all. Like it's kind of astounding. Not surprising in any way, but just astounding. Because it's just so loud and it's so stupid and it's so wrong.
What might they be trying to distract us from, I
Well,
wonder?
yes. I mean,
Well, well.
I did see that even after they fired the last person from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, the new guy came up with even worse numbers.
mm-hmm.
So that I'm not saying that these things are connected, but it's getting really, really inflationary out there. So y'all should have seen the prices at the grocery store this morning.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, y'all just should have
Oh my
seen them.
God.
The I don't I was kind of shocked with how little I got and how much it cost. And the fact that the only things that seem like they're not affected by inflation is candy.
Hmm.
I feel gaslighted every time I go to the grocery
Hmm.
store. So I'm
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
like, now I know damn well that I don't buy stuff that is that expensive. I was taught to shop with some sense, to get the best value for my dollar. I know that this little cart of stuff for dinner for 2 days didn't just cost me $60. I know.
I last week went on a quick little errand. We were having a board meeting at work, and so I just went and got some little things for people to nosh on. I got some granola bars. I got some chocolates. I got a bag of popcorn. I got a bag of pretzels. I got a box of water. And I think that's it. It was $50.
For which part?
All of it together.
Okay. Okay.
But that's like what?
Okay.
Five, that's like what? Five or six items
Yeah, and none of those items is supposed to be over
at
$5.
all.
Mm-mm.
My grandmother used to drink Folgers, and I'll bet it wasn't $25 a plastic canister of this size. I don't know how what 10, 12 ounces. $25 for Folgers. I mean, that's not like some kind of frou-frou coffee that somebody is getting from I mean, it's the most regular. What are people supposed to do? Just walk around exhausted? I don't understand how any of this is supposed to work.
But you let them people tell it, and the tariffs are a good thing.
Well,
Yeah,
the
put
the
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 put
companies
those
are eating the tariffs.
I love the uneducated.
tariffs on Chinese goods. Yeah, that'll stick it to them. Tariffs on Mexican goods. That'll show them.
Buy American. Just buy American.
Oh, child.
But all the
Mm.
American, like all the parts and ingredients aren't American. But
And
okay.
and they just chase those Koreans out.
They sure did.
And it's like, so let me get this straight. You clearly don't want anybody building things here. You don't want things that were made over there. Nothing that's grown over there, but nothing can be grown here either because of climate change, which doesn't exist, by the way. So what are you trying to kill us all?
Yes.
But
Yeah,
then who is
Yes.
he going to be
yeah,
president of?
yeah, yep.
I mean, I
I mean, he just didn't think this through, right?
no, I think they did. I think they really do want to. I mean, the conspiracy theory is that they
I mean, that's all
actually
that's left.
want to
Hmm.
bring on the rapture, and that's why all of this is.
Okay.
There are lots of
It's
them who
there are yeah.
literally want to do that, and unfortunately, people with a lot of money
Yeah.
to influence a lot of stuff.
A lot of
Yeah.
people with a lot of guns out there on top of it.
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
So where we going, y'all? Mozambique?
If they'll have us.
Oh, well, we hope you all are out there surviving. And like we said at the beginning, I do hope that this is a little low pressure situation for all of you here listening to the score for a little bit of, for a little hour or so, hour or two. But we wanted to, and thank you for letting us vent about all of these
Thank you.
things. Um, but we wanted to have a little fun today. And we were chit-chatting. And some of our favorite 90s sitcoms came up, like Martin and Living Single and Moesha. And y'all know if you are an elder millennial like myself, or a younger millennial like Paige, or what are you, greatest generation, Lee?
Yes,
What?
the very greatest.
Mm. Clearly not silent generation. But we wanted to take just a little stroll down memory lane and talk about some of our favorite shows and what they meant to us. So, what do you say, kids? Should we get into it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, we'll be right back.
And we're black. So I've been thinking
Thank
about this.
God. Can you imagine? Jesus Christ.
Hallelujah. Oof.
We'd sound so crazy on this show talking about what we talk about if we weren't.
True.
Well, speaking of Black people, for the longest time, I have wanted to have a conversation about the joy of 90s Black TV, specifically the sitcom, because I feel like I got so much out of it. Like, one, it was helpful not to feel like the only in a certain context, right? Seeing that there were representations on television of things that I couldn't necessarily get at school. Um, Two, I feel like there was, strangely enough, almost an apex of representation of the Black experience in the 90s
It's so
because,
true.
right? Because it certainly waned after that. And while maybe it's not, on the decline at the moment, I don't always feel like there's a great diversity of Blackness
Mhm.
being presented on TV right now, like I did in the 90s, right? And like you could get in the 90s on the same show,
Mhm.
because A Different World, which is one of my, definitely one of my top five shows, if not top three, it was every kind of Black person, as you may encounter on an HBCU campus, right? But for me, growing up, these shows were really affirming. They were a promise of something. They were also kind of sidebar, like such a wonderful use of the talented Black person skill set, because on these shows, like everybody could sing and dance, and including act and like, through the occasional serious special episode, everybody could land a joke. Like it was the pinnacle of TV for me. And I still watch a lot of TV, but now it's competing with all kinds of reality TV, which
Mhm.
is its own special thing, but it wasn't like what this was, right? So I'm really glad that today we get to talk a little bit about some of our favorite shows and what they meant to us and kind of how we see Blackness reflected in them, and maybe even a little bit of what we're hoping to see in the future of Black TV.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so
Mhm.
interesting too because I think back on the 90s. I had this experience where I was in a car. This was maybe like 10, 15 years ago with a friend from high school, a white woman, and we were driving somewhere, and Living Single came up, and I started doing Queen Latifah's rap from the theme song. And then she joined in and she knew all the words. And then we were riffing off each other. My homegirl standing to my left and she was like, Am I right? And it was also sort of like the black sitcom, like the way it sort of like permeated culture. Like everybody watched Martin.
Yeah,
Everybody watched
yeah,
The Living Single. Everybody watched The Cosby Show. Everybody watched A Different World. It wasn't just like black shows for black people. Like
yeah.
it really was a part of the monoculture. And I don't know if that's just because like, cable was not something that everyone had in the 90s. It was just like if you were like rich and maybe towards like the
Hmm.
end of the 90s it became a little bit more attainable for sort of middle class folks. Um but like, we sort of had the monoculture where we were all sort of watching the same four channels and just sort of had to decide which of the four shows that were on at 8 o'clock on Thursday we were going to watch. And most everyone watched like The Cosby Show at 8
Yeah,
and
everybody did.
A Different World at 8:30. And so you could go into school and talk to everyone about, what, Whitley said, that joke, or, like Claire reading Vanessa for filth, as she always did, or Brahman from the fifth floor, shenanigans, or these were like these, and in Living Color. Oh my
I love the living
God, you
color.
know.
It's still
Mm.
funny, by
It's
the
still
way.
so funny. It's still so funny. The other day somebody was talking about like how like they had to go from their one job to the other job and I was just like, two jobs? I'm a pipe cleaner, a room cleaner, a ditch cleaner. And it's so it was this very sort of the way that we were all sort of uniting around sort of blackness and this certain depiction of the black experience, which I just think just absolutely doesn't happen in the same
Yeah,
way anymore. Just because culture has just become so splintered and so niche, that, of course you can go, you know, watch black shows on BET or OWN or any number of channels, but it's not in that same sort of communal way
yeah,
that it
yeah,
was way back when. And it was also sort of felt like, you know, as a black person who grew up with a lot of white folks and went to like a very white school and whatnot, um, it also kind of felt like I wasn't so othered. Like I was definitely othered and different, but at least there were some sort of touch points that we all had in a way that like, as we were talking about earlier in the first segment, like we are all just so far away from each other
yeah.
in 2025 that it's astounding.
Yeah, I think by the time I was old enough to be like watching these shows and remembering them, you know. So young child, that's when like cable, was starting to become a thing, or channel options. And so among my peers, um there was not, that experience of everybody just watch this, like we all are watching this show that comes on at 8 o'clock on Tuesday or whatever, like that didn't happen with the shows that came out in the like early 90s, you know. Um if you were black, then you definitely were familiar with them because we just play the reruns, child. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
classics. They don't get old. Like, so of course we watched Martin, we watched Living Single, we watched The Cosby Show, we watched A Different World. And by that time, you also have like the Steve Harvey Show, the Jamie Foxx Show, Smart Guy, Sister Sister. Some of those still having like new episodes in the late 90s, but again, people have more choices. So there were a lot of my peers who did not who did not know about those shows, or only knew about Friends but didn't know about Living Single.
Mm.
That's, if you're still one of those people, what like, if you watch Living Single, then you shouldn't even be talking about Friends. Like, Friends is just like not a non-factor to you. You know, like, so anyway, I wish I had that experience of everybody watching those shows. There were still like a few, and maybe we'll talk more about it as like that fade out. It's like there's like these 10 to 15-year periods where there's lots of black television, a television featuring a diversity of black characters, and then it goes away for a while. And so maybe towards the end of that era, I I was telling y'all in preparation for this that like I think That's So Raven was like one of the last ones that like everybody was watching. Um Everybody watched That's So Raven. And and I guess The Proud Family. The Proud Family as well. Yep. Those were the last two. But yeah, some of our best television was just like not a shared experience. Oh, and Fresh Prince. Yeah, yeah.
I never
And
got
I
into
feel like
Fresh
everybody
Prince.
watched Fresh Prince.
Yeah,
Everybody watched it.
everybody
Everybody
was.
watched Fresh Prince. I've
Yeah.
never been a Will Smith fan, and like this was pre-slap, so I don't even know the reason for it. But I could never. I don't know. I think there was something about Fresh Prince to me that sort of broke that model of black TV because it wasn't very realistic, and it wasn't because they were wealthy. There was something, especially when they switched to on Viv, like there was just something
That was crazy.
outlandish. Yeah, I wasn't cool with it. And so there's no shade. Daphne Maxwell Reid and her husband shopped at our supermarket. They lived
Mm.
like
Wow.
not super far, like and nobody really lives in Richmond, right? So like I totally think that she's a lovely actress, and I don't think that was her fault. I think the way they switched up the character itself was different.
Very
Yes.
different.
So I never I and yeah, I didn't get it. But I do feel like there was this period that was like mid 80s all the way to the end of the 90s where like there was this continuum of just like some of the most talented people they could find. And they
Mm-hmm.
would put them all in a cast together because like 227, which wasn't on our list of
Uh,
shows to talk about because it was a little earlier.
Mary.
They were all so good. And I started rewatching 227 this past summer, and I was like, wow, this was actually like, even though a lot of the episodes are really similar to each other, it kind of didn't matter because like the actors played those characters so well.
Mm-hmm.
And not to mention how well Regina King has done
Mm-hmm.
post that show. I mean,
Mhm.
she was a cute kid, but like she's one of the best actresses working now. And to think they had that level of a cast together. I mean, Countess Vaughn was also a really, really, really talented
Yes.
human.
I was
Singer
just
Ass
thinking about
Off was
her.
so funny. The Parkers was a funny
It
show.
was a
You
funny
know,
It
show. It was a
was.
funny show.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody saw the act two of Monique's career
At all.
coming. But to me, it just goes to show like the level of talent that was
Mhm.
on so many of these, shows. Like the Steve Harvey show was another one that wasn't on the list, but I caught an episode of that not too long ago, and I was like, there actually isn't a thing that Cedric the Entertainer can't make funny. Like it doesn't matter what you hand him. You could hand him a napkin and he would figure out how to make a scene out of it. And I don't consistently feel like we get that. Like Atlanta to me was a perfectly interesting show, but I never fell in love with it. I didn't,
Mm.
I never got like wrapped up in the universe of it. It didn't, it was a very specific subset of black men that I felt like they were representing, and I certainly know and even love some of them. But like I never felt like that was a show for me, and they were trying to talk to me. They were actually trying to weird me out on most of the episodes. So I do miss the like monocultural moment of a good, of a different world episode where I mean, just like everybody was there. First of fucking all, I had never ever seen anybody on TV from Richmond before Whitley, who was not a Civil War character. I kid you not. So
Oh
just the
gosh.
fact that she was a contemporary of ours and like that girl is a real person
Oh yeah.
among
Mhm.
the population of people that I grew up with. There, I mean,
Giselle Bryant.
right, I was about to say Real Housewives of Potomac. Like that is definitely a DMV phenomenon all the way. But like it was such a true show for me, and I would watch it with my dad because my dad was very convinced that it would be how he got me interested in going to an HBCU, and it did work. It was only when I realized all the HBCUs were in the South that I was like, oh,
Mm.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, Daddy, but I have got to get up out of here. But A Different World for me really did
I had a
raise
very, very
expectations.
similar conversation with my dad.
Yeah, it was. I was like, no, if Hillman were a school, I would go there without question. But I don't want to live in Virginia or North Carolina or Georgia or South Carolina or Alabama or Mississippi or Louisiana or Texas
Or even DC at the
or even
time when I
DC
was 18.
or even Maryland. It wasn't enough of a
Yeah,
push away.
it wasn't.
Understandable for y'all.
It
I was just like going to another part of the country. Bye.
But imagine my surprise when I get to my actual college and realize that A, nobody was having any fun. B, there was not a single thing that happened on that show that we did in college. And it wasn't just because, a decade had passed. It was because college actually isn't fun.
It's
And
not.
it was really, really not fun where
It's
we were
not.
going. Yeah,
Best years of your life. Fuck
no,
that.
absolutely, absolutely not. And there were also too few black people on campus for us, I feel like, ever to really get anything rolling like they had. Like we would have really been picking and finding people and hanging out with people from the engineering school. Like we would have had to put in
Hmm.
actual effort to get a quorum of black people together to do anything even remotely interesting like that in college. And I really do feel like I missed out. If I
I mean,
could do it again, I would have to give it a different kind of thought.
yeah, I still to this day, because like Lee, you and I consider you like family at this
Yes,
point.
yes, absolutely.
And to think that you were 2 years ahead of me and we met like 20 years after we were both at that school is astounding to me.
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
granted, I spent those 4 years for the most part in my dorm room talking to RuPaul, but sorry, inside joke, everyone. Uh, but still, you think we would have crossed paths at some point, which goes to show, I mean, of course, it's a very big school in a very big city, but still.
but I do think there was also like for me, because before A Different World was School Days, which features
Hmm.
much of the same cast,
Mhm.
many of the same themes, just an absolutely fantastic mu movie.
So good.
It raised a certain kind of expectation that there would be a different unity among Black students on
Hmm.
campus. Maybe especially because at the time I think we were, I don't know, like 6% or something like
Hmm.
that back then. And that never really materialized. And looking back on it, I have more Black friends from Columbia now than I did when I was at Columbia because A, I think we all feel like we went through a thing.
Yeah.
And B, I've heard from so many people that even with those kinds of numbers, it was like their first time not being an only. and the ways that people responded to
Mhm.
that sometimes meant pushing other Black people away or being super curious about it. But I just wanted to go to the pit and,
Mm-hmm.
do a little step routine with some people, maybe sing a song or two. Like I don't know. And like there wasn't any of that.
Yeah.
There were no musical numbers in college. We didn't all eat together. We were running around downtown trying to be picked up by grown men so we didn't have to pay for our own drinks. Like
Oh.
that was a very interesting use of time and money.
But Paige, as someone who did go to an HBCU, was it sort of your school days, different world? So yeah, I mean, I would think
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's
That
what
is
I
one
thought.
thing I can say about those shows is they were authentic to the point where sometimes I got on campus and was like, "Wow, I was prepared for this." Okay. Like, and it's funny because my mom, I remember like school days specifically, she had us watch it so that we understood that part of the
Mhm.
Black experience and also to help teach us about colorism.
Mm,
The
mhm,
good or
Mm,
bad
mm,
hair, whether you're
mhm,
dark or you're fair. Yeah, and featureism and texturism, like she used
mhm.
that
mhm,
as a as a teaching tool and to
Thank you,
understand
Spike.
like
mhm.
right, right, and understanding like classism and just the stuff that can happen even in a space where it's just Black people. Um, which I also witnessed at at my HBCU as well, you know? Um, it's absolutely right because it's like you have everything. I remember a professor. I don't remember the subject, but at one point saying like, it's not just the like most progressive like Black folks that you have on the HBCU campus either.
Mm,
It's not all the
mm.
folks who are going to be, civil rights leaders or who necessarily are, radical or anything. It's every part of the Black experience and everything in between.
Yep.
So, you got the more conservative folks, the what's that show that used to come on? That daddy, he was conservative. Am I thinking of Family Matters?
That
Um,
was Carl Winslow, the cop.
oh, maybe I'm thinking of him. No, I think I'm thinking of the dad from Moesha. He was
Yes,
Oh, okay.
that's who
terrible.
you're actually
Mm-hmm.
thinking of.
He was terrible.
He
Frank
was
Mitchell,
terrible. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
yep.
like worst TV dad ever. So anyway, you have like the Frank Mitchells. He was terrible. Some of the stuff he said to Moesha, like
Yeah, he was really out of pocket.
he was. He said some gross stuff, but yeah, you got the Frank Mitchells, and then you got the I don't know everything in between. The more activist kind of you have the eccentric Freddies of the in the group, and I just loved that.
Poor Brandy. Frank Mitchell for a dad. Thea
Oof.
Vidal. What was her name? That
Yeah,
lady?
Thea
Thea.
Vidal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for mom.
Mm.
But she had Shirley Lee Ralph as a stepmom, and like you
That's
can't go
true.
wrong with that.
That is true. That is true.
While we talk about like that sort of divide, like I feel like you really got to see a very interesting divide when Martin came, when the
Hmm.
show Martin came,
Mm.
because tonally it was so different from a different world, and they were in
Hmm.
the same time slot, if I remember correctly. And you know, on the one side you had the Cosby Show, which was, clearly about a certain kind of Black experience. And I think there's a way that you can read a respectability politic on the show that
Oh,
didn't
100%.
Oh
that
yeah.
didn't necessarily feel like that was the driver at the time, right? Like I felt like at the
Mm.
time it was just sort of pushing against, you know, or maybe counterbalancing some of the ways that like the professional class of Black Americans just didn't exist. on TV before that.
Hmm.
Before that, if you saw a black doctor or a black lawyer, it was probably because of a punchline coming, right? As opposed to a show that was situated around a black middle class family that also
Or,
was still, sort of uh, a version of Afrocentric in a
mhm.
sense, right?
Where you
And
had like the Jeffersons, something like
right,
that.
right,
Yeah.
which was a show obviously about a class mashup, right?
Right.
So I always noticed about Martin, how much younger it felt, right? Just this fresh kind of urban. This was in like the New Jack City moment. Like
Hmm.
there was a very different kind of a thing happening. Whereas like on the Cosby Show, I feel like you would get like a Judith Jameson as a guest star, and then on Martin you would get Biggie,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that kind of balance between the two I found very exciting. Like it
It
made me
was
really
so
happy.
exciting. It was so
Right.
exciting because I think also it's important to remember that like up until like the early 90s, we didn't even have four networks to choose from. We only had
Correct.
three.
Three.
And then Fox came along in
And
like the
limped along
early
at
90s
first.
and limped along at first, but then like The Simpsons happened and Bart Simpson became Bart Simpson phenomenon. And then like Fox became sort of like their whole thing was like young, edgy,
Mhm.
like modern and fun. And that was like their whole brand. And so then when like we're gonna take sort of this like different world, Cosby Show, Family Matters, Fresh Prince sort of model, but apply sort of the Fox branding to it. And like here we have Martin. It was so exciting.
Yeah.
And then like coupling that with In Living Color, it just felt like, ooh, we're living in the future. We're living like in these really exciting modern times where it just felt like actual contemporary
Yeah.
Black culture is because it was the Cosby Show, A Different World on NBC. Those were great. Like, of course, you had Steve Urkel and
Mhm.
Family Matters and all that happening on ABC, and it was like, okay, I guess this is funny or whatever, but like it was of a piece with that sort of TGIF lineup with like Full House and
Mhm.
uh
Yep. Yep.
whatever
Step by step.
that one.
Hmm.
But it's just sort of like these sort of generically like, bland but somewhat heartwarming sort of family shows, and it sort of fit into that.
Generic.
Yeah.
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 Like
The
Family
families.
Matters could have been they could have been. I mean,
They could have been any race. It wasn't
any
about
any
black
race,
people,
but
even
like
a
I
little
mean
bit.
there was some
Yeah, they have a
blackness.
special episode
Yeah, like Eddie
here or
gets
there.
pulled over by the police or something, and
You got to have the
we have
episode
a
where you
very
Yeah.
special
explain.
moment.
Mhm.
Yep.
Somebody, the youngest daughter, Judy, she
Mhm.
accidentally, if I'm remembering correctly, she maybe like accidentally gave to Goodwill like a quilt that had been in the family for 100 years, and like it gave the grandmother, played by Renetta Lenore, that
Mm.
opportunity to talk about the family tradition passed down since slavery, where every woman would sew a patch on the quilt. Like I mean, I can't remember. I saw this like 25 years ago, but I remember it
Mhm.
in the sense that, oh, they're talking about being black for once. And that was an episode that actually, I found it really, really resonant because I thought that kind of I mean, we knew they were black and the mom seemed extra black in how she dealt with the family, but there
Mhm.
was something also about it that kind of it wasn't black like Martin. It wasn't black like Living Single, and it wasn't even black like The Cosby Show. Like I don't know. I felt like they were like low key in the closet about it.
They were, and yes, and I remember like an episode, and maybe I'm just making this up, and it was a fever dream. Um, but it was like Eddie got like pulled over by the cops or something, and he got beaten up or he got roughed up or
Oh,
something like that, and like Carl then had to navigate being a
oh, you're
Chicago
so
police
right. I do
officer
remember
and
this.
also Eddie's dad, and like one of his like police officer colleagues was trying to like talk shit, and like he had to like stand up for himself and for his son. And it was like, oh, okay. Oh, y'all are black. Okay. Cool, 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 cool. But for like,
Mm-mm.
I mean, for the most part, it was just sort of Steve Urkel and his antics after a while. Which I mean, I suppose is a whole nother topic, but
A whole nother topic.
minstrelsy and the like. But having just those two things for a long time, sort of the NBC version and the ABC version, and CBS didn't care about us at all. But then all of a sudden it was just like in living color, Martin, and it was just like it was so exciting and so just gratifying because it was just like it felt like, oh my gosh, y'all see us and y'all get our humor and y'all are willing to platform all of these like black artists who are speaking truth to power, who are not sort of whitewashing any of the sentiments of the era, who are incorporating hip hop music and hip hop
Mhm.
fashion and hip
Mm.
hop attitudes like into what they're doing. It's just fresh and fun and I, ah.
I feel like A Different World did a really, really good job with that in particular
Yes, yes.
because they had those episodes, like they had a Rodney King episode, they had
Hmm.
a couple of
Mhm.
episodes around divestment from South Africa and ending apartheid.
Hmm.
Like they did episodes around like colorism and certainly a lot of stuff around classism. Uh, Biracial identity. Like it was very, very thoughtful in how well they integrated the concept of the special episode. But then on the other side, you had Martin that didn't have special episodes, but they were
Hmm.
just very black at all time. And
Hmm.
it was actually really funny to kind of think about these two shows together again as an adult because I can see how they could do a version of A Different World now. I feel like every couple of years we get some show set on a black campus and it feels like, A Different World is being revisited. I don't know how easy it would be to do a show like Martin right now that was just unabashedly black and not considering how the broader audience might walk away with certain perspectives. I mean, I have to think about it when we're on the show. I'm like,
Hmm.
wait a minute, are we saying things in a way that is opening the space for more listeners, or is really being very, very targeted in a way? Like I think about that a lot and usually land nowhere, but I do think about it. Looking at something like Martin, I don't know that a network would take that particular gamble right now.
Mm, that's real. That's really real, especially like the major networks that are, you don't have to have cable to
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
view or something.
Yeah.
Tend to get the edgier stuff as like a HBO series or
Hmm.
something like
I mean,
that,
Hmm.
Or I
it
think this is
was,
part of the popularity of web series too, more
Yeah.
yeah.
independent ones.
I mean, there was recently on NBC a show with an all-black ensemble. It was called Grand Crew,
Mm.
Huh.
with Nicole
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Byer.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, and I think it lasted like a season, maybe a season and a half. But yeah, just a group of friends, and they sort of the unifying sort of thing was like they were all into wine. Um, but yeah, it just kind of felt it didn't feel edgy in that way
Mm.
Hmm.
that you wanted it to
Hmm.
feel, you know.
Speaking of edgy, an important thing to call out about A Different World is that like it was the like current issues that
Hmm.
they were weren't they one of like the first maybe shows to do an episode about HIV AIDS?
That sounds right. That sounds right. Yes.
I remember hearing that was a thing. I mean, I know for a fact that it was an episode, but that like it was also a little bit of a big deal. Like that's not something that networks at that time were talking openly, honestly about, and part of the storyline being about uh correcting misinformation, you
Mhm.
know.
And
Um
it's interesting because it's like, when I'm thinking about that and I'm thinking about like today and sort of why sort of a show like Grand Crew probably didn't sort of catch fire, it's because like right now, we need to be talking about like Black Lives Matter. We need to be talking about MAGA and Trumpism and sort
Yep.
of the
Yep.
creeping, the uh, speedy rise of
Mm.
fascism in this country and how it is affecting Black folks from every different class, every different gender, every different flavor and genre. Um, and I don't think networks want to even sort of touch like a very special RFK Jr. themed very special episode. Like, I mean, they're taking rich white men off the air.
Ah! 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 Ah!
Can you imagine?
I mean, it would
Child.
be really hard to imagine, right? Because I feel like when I think, I don't know, the last 10 years or so of things that I've watched, 15 years or so, and things that have been, I don't know, unabashedly Black, I don't know how many of them I feel like managed to get far because I think, I mean, first of all, the media has just corporatized in such a way that the targeting of things that aren't really for everybody don't happen. I mean, even Drag Race, as targeted as that is in a sense, it only exists because of the broadness of the audience for it right
Mhm.
now, right? Like it has a really broad audience in the same way that I think Martin did back in the day. But that also keeps Drag Race from being as queer as it could be because there are some ways that I feel like we
Mhm.
frequently teeter onto heteronormativity. So like I do wonder if that's a thing outside of the internet right now. Like and maybe that's why Martin hasn't really been back on TV since then. You know, um, Tisha and Tashina have never not been on TV since the
Mhm.
show premiered, and it's just very interesting that we've seen Martin only on in movies and not even that much in the last several years.
Yeah. It almost feels like, yeah, like a like hyper segregation of
Oh yeah.
TV. Like, because it's not like the all black shows have just like gone away completely, or really
Mm-mm.
black like rooted shows.
Mhm.
Like it's that they're only on BET,
Yeah,
or they're only
yeah.
like as a web series, or like it's not being marketed as a universal thing. Although what came to mind was Pose.
Mm. Well,
And Pose, that
that was the whole
a
Ryan
special
Murphy of
case.
it, though.
I mean, I was
Ooh, good
thinking,
point. I forgot about that white man behind it. Yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep, yep, yep.
yeah.
and I
The
was
Ryan
thinking
Murphy
about
effect.
Insecure. And that's probably the
Oh,
closest sort of
yeah, yeah,
analog we
yeah.
have.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good
yeah,
one.
yeah.
That's a really good one. Yeah, it's been, I think the other thing that I feel like we never really get into on the show for whatever reason, it has been the Tyler Perryfication of Black media.
Yes.
And I don't have anything for or against Tyler Perry. Like I don't feel like I know enough about his oeuvre to make too many comments on it other than what I know and would like to comment on. But I do think that like he has this fleet of TV shows that I've never seen any of them. And somebody's apparently watching them. Like House of Pain feels like it's been on for a good 18 seasons.
So long, and I have never seen a single
Never seen
solitary second
a
of it.
hair or hide of House of Pain, even with Alan Payne on it, who I used to love. So
Mm.
like I've just never gotten I just don't I don't know, maybe I'm sitting outside of the zeitgeist at the moment.
In that respect, perhaps.
Yeah.
Potentially.
So I
There
mean maybe
is
that's
one
where
of
the
them.
monoculture is.
Yeah.
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 And
Half the
there,
shows are Tyler Perry shows,
I
unfortunately.
mean, and we're not talking about like sitcoms in this instance, but there's also sort of the Shondification, the How to Get Away with Murder and the Scandal, but that still is not quite
Yeah. You can have a black lead and
hitting.
not be a black show.
Yeah.
And no shade to
Facts.
Shonda, like
And
that's
no shade to
clearly just not
Shonda.
what the project was, right? And in some ways, I wish it would have been because there were definitely moments, specifically of How to Get Away with Murder,
With
where
her and Cicely Tyson
I was about to say Viola and the wig head. Like the simple fact that
and
she would get home, take her wig off, and then put her silk on her head. It would drive me crazy on Scandal when you'd see Kerry Washington just in the bed and she didn't have anything on her hair. And I'd be like, this isn't realistic. I'm not watching this. It wasn't even that she was having an affair with the Republican president. It was that she refused to cover her head in bed. And I was like, I don't believe that this is her life, and I can't get behind the show.
I
Oh, Scandal was my stuff, though. That was Scandal had me. I ain't gonna lie. Scandal. Because especially once they got her mama and daddy involved, oh, I'm locked in.
Mhm.
Joe Morton in the monologues. Oh,
Yeah,
perfection.
yeah.
You bring in the whole
And
gotta be
who
what? Twice as good. And I'm like, yeah, now
and
we're talking
who
about real shit.
and who played her mama?
Oh,
Oh, from What's Love Got to Do with It?
oh,
What's her
snap. What is her
name?
name? She's
Candy? No,
brilliant.
Candy
Candy
Alexander?
yep.
Yes, Candy Alexander. She was scary.
She was.
she, she was so scary.
Truly,
But it was good because
truly.
you knew she had to be
Mhm.
Olivia's mama and to have
Mhm.
Hmm.
been married to Olivia's daddy.
Mhm.
Like,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah, I ain't mad at Shonda for that at all.
no.
Not at
Mm-mm.
all.
So I'm curious, of all of them, what was your favorite and why?
Ooh.
For both of you.
I think a different world for me will always just be in a special place. It came at the right time. I really, really did identify with a lot of those characters. It gave me a version of what I thought my young adulthood would be like. And I can't even think about the show without giggling. Like I just really, really enjoyed it.
Hmm.
Mm, I really had to think for a second. And then I was like, wait, no, it's obvious. My favorite is Living Single, easily. It's just the comedy is so
It was so
good.
funny.
And I also like really appreciated in particular well, there's a lot that I appreciated, but I think Khadijah James was like maybe one of the first examples I saw of like a black woman who was plus size, who was not hyper femme, who was also a boss and still being desirable. Like
Mm, hmm.
Khadijah was pulling them,
She
She
okay?
was.
was. She
Scooter?
was.
Khadijah was pulling them.
Because I watched an episode before we started recording, and I was like, "Dang, Khadijah!"
Yeah, yeah.
She was
And
up in
then
the
okay, the
club.
other
She was,
favorite, the
yeah.
other
Hmm.
reason was Terrence Carson and Erica Alexander.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
The best chemistry on
Yes.
TV.
that's just one of the best comedic duos
Yeah.
probably ever
Ever,
that
ever,
we will
ever.
ever see,
Yeah.
honestly. Like you could tell moments where they were maybe been improvising a little bit and like wanted to just laugh so bad at how they were
Yeah.
roasting each other. Like it was incredible.
Erica Alexander is just, I'm sorry, she's just a comedic genius.
She is
There is
truly.
this one, so there, I was watching the episode where they go to the club, and like at the beginning, they're like, we don't have any
Yes.
men, we don't have anything to do, we're bored. They're like watching the TV guide, and like Khadijah's like, we need to go out. And and Maxine goes, I don't live here, I am out. And she just takes this giant fork full of noodles and just stuffs them in her mouth. And I fell out. It was just the way, the timing of it, just the bigness of it. Like it was just so funny. And I hadn't watched an episode of Living Single in a while. And I was just like, dang, I forgot how funny this is. And like it's so the show, like the jokes are just so tightly constructed, and like everything, like there's the, what's the Chekhov's gun at the
Mhm.
beginning that always goes off at the end, and it's incredibly satisfying. And then you had like Queen Latifah, who I had forgotten, like is so funny.
So funny.
I remembered in my head like, oh, Khadijah is just sort of like this the straight man. But no, she's all up in it too, like making jokes and being hilarious, and like up on that table singing I Will Survive and just vamping and just being hilarious. And I was just like, oh my God, I love this show. So I need to keep going. Do a little rewatch because it was so fun. But I think my favorite, and I don't know if we would categorize it as sitcom, but comedic comedic show on television was In Living Color. I mean, that for
Yeah,
me was
yeah,
just appointment television.
yeah.
Like it was so funny all the time, launched so many careers of so many talented
Yes.
people, like going into school and like talking about Fire Marshal Bill or Wanda. Like it just it was a phenomenon, and it was like so many things that like I still will like quote to this day. So shout out to Keenan Ivory Wayans, I guess.
You know, when we were talking about living single, it made me think about a show that I really went back and forth about putting on the list, but ultimately decided not to because it was never as funny. Girlfriends. And
Mm-hmm.
I say this despite my true love of Tracy Ellis Ross, Persia White, Golden Brooks, and I don't care about anything in this world like I care about Joe Marie Jones. Tony Childs is one of the most relatable characters I've ever experienced on television. But the show didn't, it never was as funny, and it absolutely stopped working to me when she left.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know, like there is a way that so many of the shows that came after that for me were like, I don't want to say, well, they would be in a similar vein, but not be the same thing. You know, like they were just almost, but not quite. Like it really was a great period of TV. And I think part of what made them all so good is that they were performers whose skill sets were really calibrated to the genres that they were in, right? I feel like
Hmm.
nowadays we sometimes randomly get movie stars on TV, or people used to be on social media, or stand-up comedians who are super funny in what they do, but they don't do like the TV sitcom because it's its own thing. And whatever you want to say about any of these shows, I think specifically about Living Single and also on Living Color, they were just really, really well populated by people who could execute what it was they were asking. They knew the assignment, and they all nailed it every single time.
Yeah, same
Yeah,
can be said about
absolutely.
Martin for sure. Like everyone
Yeah.
on air was just excellent at what they do
Mm.
Absolutely.
specifically.
Black excellence.
Black excellence. 90s edition.
Yes. Well, I think that's a great place to leave it. But if y'all have anything that you're watching now that you think sort of rises to the occasion, I'm curious. I wanna watch it. I
Hey.
think I think I'm gonna go have, especially in this moment that we are living through right now, sort of have a little Black Joy
Mm.
marathon because God knows we need it. But speaking of Black Joy, I think it's time for a little pure Black Joy. What do you all think?
Yes, it's
Yes.
time.
Okay. Well, we will be right back with pure Black Joy. And we are back with pure Black Joy. Even though we have been spending the last hour talking about things that make us feel joyful, why don't we do a little bit more? This is the segment where we talk about all the Black people, places, art, music, culture that's making us happy this week. So, who would like to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So one of my pure Black joys, in the past couple weeks, I really love me some rap by the girls and gays and
Mm.
theys.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
love it. I eat it up. Um, which maybe has two little pure Black joys in there. My favorite podcast about that is back for another season. It's called Purse First. Shout out to them. They're really, I know, right? But they are delight to listen to, and they keep Auntie knowing what's going on. Um, but my real pure Black joy was um actually the child of rapper Ghostface Killer just
I saw
had a
this.
song that is getting quite popular. The situation that it stems from is not joyful at all. Unfortunately, it seems like this child named Infinite Coles. If you want to look him up on Spotify or a title or whatever you're using, maybe not Spotify. Hopefully you switching from Spotify because they got some stuff going on over there. But Infinite Coles released some music that has been doing really well. Particularly a song called Sweet Face Killer, a play on his dad's name, Ghostface Killer, where he is talking very openly about, dad not being supportive, kind of not being shit, kind of not being present, and being homophobic. Um, but wow, Infinite Cole slid on that beat. Wow, wow, wow. Clearly got daddy's talent and is gonna take it places, okay? um so I love that for him. He took that rap talent, was like, I'm leaving here with something, you may not be you may not be shit, but I got your DNA and I'm gonna use it and take it to the stars. So um it's just like joyful when people, I think, can reclaim
Yeah, yeah.
their narratives and find acceptance and success, taking a thing that is painful and kind of getting to do a little bit of a look what I did anyway, so wishing him continued success, and hopefully a very very successful career. um yeah, that was my pure Black joy.
Yes, love that.
Yay, I love
The
it.
song is good, y'all. Like the beat is fire. Like the bars are. I said, "Ooh, who is this?" Like I didn't even know the story at all. I just saw the video and was like, "Who is this? This is incredible." So yeah, stream that. Infinite Coals, Sweet Face Killer.
I love that.
I love that. Well, I've been meaning to talk about this for a while now, but shorter, we haven't had as much time for Pure Black Joy the last couple of episodes, it seems like. But earlier this summer, my dear friend Melina, shout out Melina, um, was like, you should check out Love Island. And that was like you know, handing a crackhead a pipe because now I'm fully addicted. But in this season of UK, there's this stunning black woman named Alima, looked like Naomi Campbell, and then all of a sudden she starts talking and she sounds like Shrek. And, and I texted Melina and I was like, they got black people in Scotland? Turns out I'm not the only one. And apparently, Black folks in America and Scotland have been doing a cultural exchange on TikTok for
Mhm.
the last few months. And I am so here for it. I love it. Like showing us the city, showing us the beaches, showing us their amazing Black Scottish lives and the way that all of us in disparate parts of the diaspora are able to connect has just been a joyous, exciting thing to see, especially Scotland, which looks cool. And now I kind of want to go to Edinburgh and Glasgow and all those places.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do a field trip.
Mhm. Yes. The score goes international.
I love it.
Yes.
Well, my pure black joy ties together a couple of different themes from the last couple of years since we referenced him earlier. Caldwell Titty Q, better known as Bob the Drag Queen, is making their Broadway debut in
Oh,
November in Moulin
Yes.
Rouge, taking over
wonderful.
in the role that is currently being played by Wayne Brady, who
Hmm.
might have to choke a bitch. I just think it's so interesting sometimes all of the different pop culture, like little snippets that you can thread through a given Broadway show. So I will be going to see Moulin Rouge to hear Bob the drag queen and to see them in person and to remind them that we have met before on this very show and how close friends we are and probably end up as a story on sibling rivalry because of it. But at least we'll have made
Friend of the show, Bob the
friend of the
drag
Friend of the
show.
queen.
show. Congratulations, friend. Congratulations.
Congrats, bestie. So proud of you.
Well, speaking of which, we will be re-releasing that episode probably in a couple of months because it was the
Yes.
season finale of our class. I believe, though, that the next one is Big Frida. So I
Hey,
think
you
Hey.
that's
already
next
know.
Tuesday. So you already know. And if that's not correct, it'll probably be the one after that. Whatever. Just listen to them. They're good.
Yeah.
They're good. They're good. But please continue to support us. Send us a letter at or a missive or whatever at email. That's the word. At the Score Podcast 2.0 at gmail.com. Shut up. Um, do what if you all want to do this? I didn't think so. Leave a review, 5 stars. Now I'm talking to you, the audience. Leave a review, 5 stars. Tell your friends, and please hit that subscribe button. It helps us greatly and helps people find the show. So I think that's that. Any words of wisdom, y'all?
Stay woke.
Stay woke. I have one. If you want to get off the plane early, pick a seat towards the front of the plane.
Ding ding.
Tell them. Tell them.
It's very easy. And if that's not available to you, I'm so sorry, but you're going to have to wait. You are
Period.
going to have to wait. That's just that's just life. That's just the fact. We got back from LA. We were sitting sort of like in the middle of the aircraft, and this couple, white, of course, in head to toe teal, just comes running up from the back of the plane. And of course, when one person does it, then everyone feels like they get to do it. And then they were just clogged right, you know, at our row. And thankfully, I'm married to a Scorpio who wasn't having any of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I just cannot believe you can pick your seats now. If getting off the
Yeah.
plane early is very important to you, and if you have a connection, that's a different situation, right? But people, come on, come on. I know we are living in Trump's America, but we've got to have some decorum in some areas, or else this whole thing is just going to go to shit. Like, come on.
Especially grown folks. At your grown age, you know how planes work. Chill out. You know.
And
You
don't wear
said they
matching
thought they were
teal
on
with your.
Southwest.
Mhm. Hmm?
You said they thought they were on Southwest, just
They
running
sure
around,
did.
making decisions on their own.
They sure did. They sure did. You don't even get to pick your seat on Southwest anymore.
I saw that.
True.
It's
That's a
crazy.
thing of the past. But anyway, please let that just sink in.
Sink in.
Mm-hmm.
Just sink
Sink in.
in. Just sit with that for a
Mm-hmm.
moment.
Mm-hmm.
Twirl on that.
Okay, deep breath.
Mm.
Woosah. Okay, I think that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending this time, and good luck. Stay safe out there, everybody.
Seriously.
Seriously. Bye.
Bye.
That sounded so foreboding.
Good.
Good luck.
Yes.